All right, we're going live. This is the Glocktober edition of the Every Second Matters chat for 2014. We have some links out there, and we'll be joined, I'm sure, I hope, in a little while with some of the other people that are part of the Every Second Matters organization. So until they show up, I will quickly describe what we're doing. So Every Second Matters is a grassroots nonprofit. There's no money involved at all. So loose grassroots organization to promote the awareness of the Second Amendment. The way we try to uh, encourage that is by thinking of the second of every month parallel with the Second Amendment. So one of the things we do, and we've been doing now for almost a year, is meet up in a live um, hangout, a live online chat room where we get together and talk about what we might have done during the previous month, what we might be able to do towards the future. We're not trying to do very lofty goals. We're talking about the Second Amendment, and we are uh, being aware of what's going on in the news. But beyond that, we're not, nothing too lofty, I guess is the way to say it. We're not, the guys that are involved are not committed in any way. There's no structure. There's no president or vice president or anything like that. We simply created a YouTube channel, and we a couple of the guys have access to it. And on the second of each month, we do these hangouts. One of the guys put up a website, and we go in and maintain the website, which is everysecondmatters.us, with a bunch of links to both pro-gun or pro-freedom organizations, as well as a few of the anti, uh, for reference. We also have most of the states' versions of the Second Amendment listed there, again, just so that people can keep track of maybe what, if they weren't aware, what their state's position on the Second Amendment is. Then just some links to the various social media where we uh, talk about the second on the second. So one of the things we first came up with, as it was sort of becoming an entity, was the logo, and it was designed. Actually, I don't remember anymore who designed it. Then, as a kind of committee, we tweaked it a little bit, and not everyone's happy with it. Not everyone's disappointed with it. It's a pretty decent logo in most people's minds, and it's simple. Every number two, ND, and then matters. Every second matters. I guess the idea is, to think of haste makes waste. You don't waste your time. Every second matters, and then of course the various ways of thinking about that parallel with the Second Amendment. But you would think somebody would join us. So I didn't think it would take this long for people to follow the links. So I'll tread water for a little bit here as we wait for others to join us. Or it could be the shortest Every Second Matters ever. It is possible that everyone who started the organization has decided against owning firearms, and they've created some other organization to defeat the Second Amendment, and that's where they're all hanging out this evening. I really can't think of any other alternative, so unfortunately it looks like Second Amendment advocates have been won over by big business. And we are now going to print out the Second Amendment as a coupon. We're not going to really use that anymore as a constitutionally protected right. That's too bad. Well, I don't know what else to say here. There are 10 people watching. If anyone would want a link, feel free to ask for it on the YouTube side or on the Gun Channel side, and you'll get the link. But don't know what else I'll say here. I guess this is the day Every Second Matters died. Even the month of October was not enough to resuscitate it. Well, I've sent out the links, but no one joined. Well, that's the problem with grassroots is it depends on people's interest. And if the interest isn't there, the momentum is gone. So I will pause here for a bit, and after about 5 minutes of silence for our lost freedoms, we will end the chat, and we'll all figure out what to do when the government finally takes over the last little bits of freedoms we have because we've given up the Second Amendment. It was fun while it lasted. Are you there, Yankee?
Yeah, I'm here, just roaming around a little bit.
All right. Well, we've been live for 15 minutes.
Oh, have we?
In silence. Yep.
Oh, I thought
So
we.
I guess we'll just end every second matters because nobody wants to join or do anything with it.
We're here.
The good news is that since it's not an actual established organization, all we have to do is not show up and it disappears.
Yeah. I've actually got my every single matters t-shirt on.
I like guns.
And my new Beretta hat that I bought today. I had to pay for this goddamn hat.
Really? Because Glock gives those things away.
So you talk to my guy, Beretta, you would give him.
Glock gives away Beretta hats? Well, tell me something.
Name drop me, they would have
Okay. All right, well, if you guys want to talk about every second matters, we can. Otherwise, I'm ending it. Anything up?
Didn't do much today. Open carried, but nothing happened. So.
I realized halfway, because I'm moving, halfway through the day, when I was switching my cable over, I physically said, oh, fuck, I'm supposed to be carrying. As I totally spaced it with moving. And, yeah. So, I don't know.
I could still carry today, but, usual.
I moved all my ammunition today. That was interesting. Holy crap. Even though I don't have more than about 10,000 rounds, that weighs a lot.
10,000 rounds of ammo weighs a bit.
It does, yes.
Yeah, I need to move to an area that's stricter about open carry, because every time I open carry, I don't get any good footage or stories for a movie. All I get's a bunch of lesbians asking me where I bought my gun.
They think you're lesbian?
Are lesbians only allowed to talk to lesbians at the edge?
Common interest?
He thinks that because lesbians won't talk to him, that they're only allowed to talk to him.
I had someone talk to me once at a range, and they were like being all, freaking,
All right, well, it's not every lesbian matters. It's every second matters. So.
Okay. Yankee looks like a lesbian.
Well, all right. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Do we give a damn? I mean, if no one, I mean, look at how many people mentioned just in the comments so far that I forgot it was the second. Oh, whatever. I mean, I guess it's there to be a subtle reminder, but does it need to be a monthly chat if this is going to be a burden or somehow?
Well, I think it's going to be some months where it's big, some months where it's not. I think, and we kind of dropped the ball about making anything about it. So I think we need to be a little more proactive, like maybe on Instagram and on our AOL accounts and on our Facebook.
Well, I do. In fact, I use the feature of Facebook that lets you schedule. So if you're not familiar with it, when you click in to start creating a post on Facebook, if you look down below, there's a couple little extra things in the toolbar down there. One of them looks like a clock, and when you click on it, it'll allow you to schedule a post up to about 7 or 8 months into the future. So I went through and about every so often, so that it doesn't, so that there's no gaps, I'll go in and update, usually on the first, a reminder that the second is tomorrow. Yeah. Just a post with the logo, sometimes patched on my cat or something, just to give me a subtle reminder. But I'm not interested in bugging people. I think there's too much noise out there as far as different nonprofits and whatnot. So I mean, I definitely don't want this to be something that is annoying to people. And again, I'd rather just let it sit there like a hot air balloon in the air than to have
Yeah,
to shout from the rooftops.
yeah. Like I say, I just say be promote awareness, and then if people show up that month, they do. If they don't, they don't. You know, it's just kind of like I said. Some months it'll be big, some months it'll be small. Some weeks, some months, 2 people will remember. Some months, 20. You know,
Doing a reminder, like, maybe mid-month before the next second. Also, you're going to do a video scheduling one or whatever, just doing a video talking about it. We're going to do one. So
That's a good idea.
it's just the way it is.
Reminder on the first is a good idea, because I can't. A reminder in the middle of the month, I'll forget anyway.
Well, something like that. Just a video saying, hey, we're going to do a chat.
I want to remember things.
Like the 30th or something. I don't know.
Well, I guess we could talk about that asinine law that goes against the Second Amendment in California that just got passed.
Which one?
There was two, right?
Yeah, one of them was I think she passed. There were 3 of 4 actually. I think got passed. The one that didn't get passed, thank God, and they actually the governor's comment was pretty good with the ghost gun that failed, and he literally said, "I don't see how serializing garage guns is going to prevent or any crime."
Yeah.
So, but the one that got passed, there was a BB gun one, which was more of a common sense thing. Like, parents have to ask permission before they let another child shoot anything 6mm or less, or something like that, or caliber. So if it's over 6mm, you could shoot it.
It's common sense that you would not give somebody else's kids
Yeah, the gun.
things
A
that
BB gun.
There it is. 50
Yeah.
caliber.
But, and I didn't, when Tack was talking about this tonight about relatives, from my understanding of the laws, I didn't think it was relatives. I thought it was anybody could go and say, hey, this person probably shouldn't have guns, and he does. And that warrants a police visit. I mean, this isn't someone going in and going, hey, this person threatened my life. It's basically elevating a restraining order type of thing to a general restraining order, and allowing them to take your guns. There's a little something in there about due process, but it still really opens the door for them to take someone's gun without any real reason.
California can't even balance their own freaking budget, and they have the time to come with all these crazy, new stuff that they're going after, and they can't even freaking maintain their own state on top of the state tax that they have. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that you guys say, well, that's California, but, it's still one of the states, and it's pretty screwed up that kind of a law could pass.
They're very similar to, like, New York, and
let's be accurate in our talking. I don't think, does California have a deficit anymore? Last year they were running a surplus.
I would imagine they have to be rich.
I mean, I haven't looked at it recently, but last time I heard it, they couldn't.
Last year they had a budget surplus, so I don't think we can blame them much on
State?
Yeah, they had a state surplus last year. Jerry Brown had
I did not look into it, but what I heard in the past is they couldn't, plus they couldn't even fill their budget.
a lot of money in California.
Oh, of course there is, but that's the problem with California. It's very similar to New York. As far as the
Los Angeles, out of our state, I think you would lose half the nation's wealth just on those 2 cities.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there you go. But I mean, it's the way it's set up. You're either really, really well-to-do, or you're poor, because it's hard to really, make it as a middle-class person there.
No, you can't make it as middle class in California, or lower middle class.
I have my dad's cousin. My dad's first cousin lives over there in the Mission Viejo area, and he just denying the fact that, as if he was a retired guy, that he's just like, oh, I'm that, upside down on stuff like his condo and whatnot, that he just deals with it because he's stuck.
Yeah, there's nothing you could do. Move to Thailand.
It's like a friend of ours got transferred to San Francisco, and he was an engineer with Nike. Got transferred to San Francisco. He's got to be making at least $250,000 to $325,000 a year. moved to San Francisco and could barely make ends meet.
What is that, DB? You
Well,
got
if you
6 billion missing? Is that what that says?
if you remember, Rick Warren said, during the was it 2008 debate when I think Rick Warren made a comment. They're like, "How much is too much?" They asked McCain, and he was in there, and Rick Warren's a big mega church, pastor, and he said, was it 200,000? He was like, 200,000. That you're still poor in California, and he said that, and I was like, really, a pastor making this much money, and 200,000, you're still poor. Wow.
Jesus, that's insane.
Yeah. No, 100 grand where I live. You live comfortably. If you had 200,000, you live in a hell of a lot more comfortably, and that's not the world of money either. But
Oh no, yeah. Here in New Hampshire, boy, if you have 80 grand, you're living really comfortably. You can get by and be fine, and
We make
that's a lot of money.
100, not a great deal over 100, but not 200, but definitely more than 100, and we live average here.
Yeah. It's affordable. New Hampshire's really affordable to live in. If you're, I mean, it's basic stuff, and there's no state tax, there's no sales tax. It's,
we don't have state tax in Texas, but we do have sales tax.
We have sales tax here, but no state income tax, and we have no sales tax across the river in Portland. So if you want something expensive, you just drive over.
hmm I noticed that because, like I said, I'm in the process of moving, and I'm just going to stay at my father's place while he's in Florida for the winter for now, until I can either find something or just cruise it for the winter. But rents are way up. Way, way, way up. 2-bedroom condos. I mean, when I would say way up, I mean they're $900 to $1,200 a month. But you could get a 2-bedroom condo here 5 years ago for probably $750 a month, maybe $800 a month.
I remember our friend when he moved to San Francisco, he got a nice little townhouse, and his payment on his townhouse was around $3,000 or $4,000 a month. A little 1-bedroom townhouse.
Yeah, I used to manage a store was in downtown San Antonio where a lot of the opposing teams that become like the Spurs would frequent the mall, and they'd always end up at the boutique shop, electronic boutique shop I worked at, and high-end stuff, and they would just complain, like, there's guys from the Portland Trail Blazers saying, like, hey, what, you charge tax? I'm like, yeah, it's tax, sales tax.
We kind of veered off the gun laws we were going to talk about, so let's talk about
Just bringing that up, and he's like, yeah, we don't know if it's sales tax in Portland, and I was like, well, I mean, yeah, you probably, I may not want to get in debate about, your taxes, but...
What were the laws that actually did pass? The BB gun thing and what else?
Yep, the remove your guns restraining order thing. I don't know what the third one was.
I thought the one that didn't pass was the one about having to serialize a firearm that you build.
Yeah, that was the ghost gun one. That literally that idiot. The whole thing. That was the bill, and that didn't, which is good. Oh, the third one. I got it. You can no longer bring a gun into California, even if it's your own, without going FFL to FFL. So, and that brings up a whole nother issue of, like, what if you leave the state to go to a shooting match? That's unclear, whether you can even bring your gun across state lines and then bring it back.
So Joe Schmo from any other state that goes into California has to do what? How does that work out?
He's got to send every gun he has to have an FFL ship every gun individually to another FFL to get literally registered, basically, in California.
They'll probably tell you which ones you can actually bring and which ones you can't.
That's to cut down on the going out of state to buy a gun or stuff. Because California's
so now that's... Yeah. Oh, and that whole other freaking...
Because someone who doesn't know the law and goes outside of California and buys a firearm is going to know the law that you have to register the firearm with an FFL before you bring it back? Or alternatively,
and how are they
allegedly, if they're buying them illegally, they're going to obey that law but not the other laws they break?
Well, if they go out of the state and buy one, they're buying them illegally, private sale, which is illegal to buy across state lines. So they're already breaking the law, so like they're not going to break the other law.
But yeah, like if you're, again, it's like it's really a big deal when it comes to military because a lot of people are going to get stationed out there, and that's just ridiculous.
One kind of open carry thing I can talk about is in January I will be for a 2-day stretch open carrying at our Senate meetings here or for our state Congress, because we were having a thing where one of the congressmen said that he's not going to do any work as long as people are still allowed to carry guns in the state building, and we're allowed to open carry our handguns in the state building. And he said, I'm not working a day if there's a single person in there carrying a gun. So we are arranging it to where we'll make sure we have at least one person in the grandstands of the Senate floor every day with a handgun so that he can't work. And then we can call him on the fact that why are you taking your $135,000 a year paycheck if you're not working?
Yankee, because of the children, he's willing to take that multi-$100,000 paycheck and not work so that the children can be safe. He's willing to sacrifice like that.
Going back to the California thing, I mean, all the big cities that have like a gang problem, like LA, Oakland, and whatnot, San Francisco, they're not very close to the border of California. You know, where you can just, you know, it's a good deal. You're just drive an hour or so, and you go grab a gun. That's ridiculous, but they have a lot of crime, but gang violence.
What are you saying? That the gangbangers are just going to drive to Nevada or Arizona or Oregon to buy a gun?
No, that they're usually most of the major cities where they're at, but they have a lot of gang violence and shootings and whatnot. They're so far in California that, I mean, they're not near the border for the most part.
I thought gangbangers just bring their current girlfriend to the gun shop and they point out what gun they want them to buy, and then they go wait outside in the car. Yeah. Isn't that how they do it?
Gangbangers don't have cars.
Well, gangbangers don't. They have hoopties.
Yeah. But we got
G-Ride. They hop in the G-Ride.
Now, I will have to admit, straw purchases are a problem because we have a problem here in Portland when we go to the gun show. The gangbangers, we've started to have a problem with gangs in Portland, and the gangbangers will show up, 7 or 8 of them, and they'll have their hoochies in tow, you know, their 21-year-old girlfriends who don't have a criminal record yet, and they will basically stand there, pick out their gun, hand it to their girlfriend to go pay for it. And, you know, they've got police trying to patrol for it, but it happens all the time there. So I do have to say that is a little bit of a problem, but I mean, what are you going to do? Try to stop them by passing a law that they can't do that because there's already a law that says they can't do that.
I mean, you hold the integrity of the
I don't. I'll just say how many gun shows you've been to see that, because I go to quite a few gun shows and I don't see that.
We see it quite a bit here. I mean, it's a problem.
I don't know about a gun show. I don't see
every gun show I go to, I never see gangbangers for the most part because nobody wants them there. They don't want. They're like, you know, what the fuck you doing here?
Well, I will give
I'm not going to sell you a gun.
I will give it to a lot of the big dealers like Keith's and stuff. They won't sell to them. They see them, they chase them away. But they walk over to a smaller independent guy and he sells it to them. I've seen it personally.
I've seen anti-gun ads that suggest that happens, but I've never seen it.
I'm not saying this is an ad. I'm saying I, as a pro-gun person, have witnessed this happen. I've talked to police officers at the convention center, the expo center, that are there to try to stop it from happening, that have witnessed it from happening. So it does happen. We can't pretend it doesn't happen because it does. But
I'm not going to pretend it doesn't happen, but I'm not going to feed the fans a fire of what potentially could happen because it sounds great in imagination that it happens. I live in the gun culture, or whatever you want to call it. When you go to a gun show, I challenge you to dress up like a gangbanger or whatever and walk around a gun show and see what kind of atmosphere it is for you.
Go to our gun show in Portland, you'll see some gangbangers. You'll see 99%.
I've seen it happen at gun shops, but they usually get denied, or like the gun shop will say something to them, and I don't feel bad. I feel bad for the girl because she probably doesn't even know that she's doing something wrong. You know, but I was gonna say you don't have to be a gangbanger like wearing blue or red, but if a dude is telling a girl what kind of gun he wants and making her buy it, then there's something wrong with that. I mean, you see it happen.
The big gun show we got here, like your stereotypical shortcut Hispanic guy, the real short prison haircut, with the tats, white shirt, and shorts, whatever, long socks, and all that crap. I've never seen them at the gun shows because nobody's going to deal with them. I mean, they're going to get denied. Even private sellers are like, sorry, I don't need the shit. And they never see them at the gun show.
Yeah, at gun shows for the most part,
against gun shows too.
I see people like that I see in these chats at gun shows for the most part, just people who are into guns and shit.
Mostly going to be people like us, but it does happen. It happens a lot here in Portland. In fact, it's happened so often in Portland here that they have special patrols now at the Expo Center that are looking specifically for straw purchases because they've had so many incidences of guns turning up in illegal hands downtown Portland that were bought at our local gun show. So they are. That's why they've got they have 6 officers just patrolling the whole time in plain clothes, looking for straw purchases now.
Well, there's that rumor that was the ATO's always walking around at the gun show here, and so everybody's on their best behavior. They're just doing behavior altogether, but using them all.
But to me, it's a perfect example of why laws like this don't work, because it's illegal already for them to do that. It's not like it's legal for them to do it, but they're doing it. So those kind of laws don't stop people that are determined to get a gun illegally from getting one. They're still going to get it. All those laws do is make it hard for the gangbanger who wants to make his girlfriend buy a gun. He's probably going to get it. But then it makes it hard for the little old lady that wants to go in and buy her son one for Christmas or her husband one for Christmas. Then she gets scrutinized extra heavy because they're like, well, gangbangers buying guns. And then they treat this little old lady like she's going to be like some mall for a gangbanger somewhere.
I mean, I agree with you completely. I mean, I would love it one of these days, which will never happen. My wife was, Christmas time, hey, watch your 1911. That'd be nice, but it's never going to happen. But, that's, cool.
Well, maybe a Rock River one day. Rock Island, I mean.
Then you have people
for Christmas
react, and you have gun shops that don't even understand the law, and then they get mad. I've had gun shops tell me before that I couldn't buy a gun because I was buying it as a gift for someone. I've literally had a gun shop here in Portland tell me, "Oh, I can't sell you this if you're buying it for someone," because I mentioned that they said, "Well, do you want to get this for it and that for it?" I was like, "Well, it's not for me, so I'll let them choose what kind of grips they want to get if they want to get new grips or something for it." Or ammo for it, etc. And they're like, "Oh, well, we can't sell it to you if you're giving it to somebody else." I'm like, "Yes, you can." No, that's illegal. It's like the gun shop doesn't understand the law because the law is so freaking complicated.
Also, D.C. Lost all their fingerprints. Was it D.C. or Maryland?
I think it was D.C., wasn't it?
That's just messed up. And now they're saying if you don't go back in and pay them, you're a felon.
Why should you have to pay again if they lost your fingerprints?
Oh, that's what they're saying. $60, and I guess the nice thing that's happened is there of the whatever how many thousands there were, only 1,000 people have actually redone it. So hopefully it's going to be like a Connecticut revolt type of thing.
Well, that's the thing. People need to step up and say, let's challenge this. When has this saved anybody? I mean,
exactly.
We were talking, how many times has this fingerprint database or whatever, prevented anything or followed up through on something? And now, since it hasn't, this is a perfect time to just drop it.
Then,
right.
That's how you challenge it, right?
Hasn't done anything for anybody, and plus that would be like the DMV saying, "Oh, you know what? Our records database just crashed, so we don't have any records of what everybody's driver's license number is. So everyone's got to come in and pay to have their live driver's license number re-recorded."
Yeah.
That would never fly. People would throw a fit.
Is that one of the problems? Is there not enough people to throw fits? I mean, hopefully there is in this case, but is it in some states you just don't have enough people with cojones to throw a fit? Possibly. Or
yeah, no. Here, if you're getting your permit renewed now, you don't have to get your fingerprints again. It was like every time you renewed, you need to get a new set. So
yeah, we don't do any of that stuff.
Run you through the mix, I guess.
You just go give $10 to the police officer, sign your name, and come back in less than 10 days, and your permit will be here.
The way we do our permits in Washington, we have no training requirements or nothing, so you just basically go in. I think it's $60. You give them a check for $60, or is it cash? I don't think they take checks. It's they don't take debit card checks, one or the other. So you got to give them either cash or something. And then if you don't have a criminal background, then I think mine was 3 weeks later, got my.
Yeah, $10 in New Hampshire. That's pretty sweet. That's the definition of shall issue.
No training requirements or anything here, so that's nice.
Yep. God, my friend who sits here every other day and watches me assemble guns and play with them. He even says to me yesterday, do I have to register? I'm like almost wanted to slap him, but I was educating him. He still has no idea. He goes, what do you mean? I can just go buy a gun?
Sometimes slapping people is very educational.
I know, I wanted to, but he's kind of disabled anyway. And he's.
I figured if he was your friend, there's something wrong with him.
Yeah, I keep him around. I make him run errands for me. Silly.
Yeah, so soon the weather's not going to be t-shirt weather, so maybe it's going to switch to hats or those patches. I got a couple of patches.
You put on a windbreaker.
Sweatshirt.
Every Second Matter shirt on over it.
Dude, it's like 40 freaking degrees right now.
Don't you own
That's totally 215.
Don't you own any long underwear? I always in the wintertime I just wear a thermal long sleeve T-shirt underneath my Dickies short sleeve.
Yeah,
thermal phone you wearing?
that was really
That's
that
my
was, that
prison
was like
look.
real fad and like a trend
Oh, I
in
like that.
2003.
I kept my
2002.
thermal from jail, so now I wear that.
I've been doing it since like 1983, so I think I beat the fad.
Some people think it's crazy. I'm like, everybody wears it's like wearing a polo over a long sleeve shirt. That's fine.
Yeah, I wear a Dickie. I wear Dickies shirts. You know, the Dickies, not a Dickie. You know, I wore Dickies in the 70s.
The fake collar.
I wear those.
I did. When I was a kid, I wore those.
I wear Dickies work shirts. You know, like just the short sleeve pocketed work shirts. So you see them in my videos all the time. That's what I wear over a long sleeve T-shirt in the wintertime.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to wear those fake sweater Dickies.
I used to wear those the fake turtleneck over.
All it is a collar and like two
Well,
squares.
thanks for taking us down the every kind of shirt matters path there, DB. But somebody was asking in the chat about if he wonders what states don't have a Second Amendment or some version of a second. If you take a look at everysecondmatters.us, we have a page there, a tab on the top that has them all, and we always like to mention that because if something's changed or if you know of a problem with one of them, let us know because we want that to be accurate. But most every state has one. There's a few exceptions, and you can get them quickly right there.
Basically, where digital profit lives, there's no Second Amendment. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like the Maryland, D.C. Is that fair to say? D.C. for sure. Yeah.
I'll get back to Yankees tactical phone.
I thought we all had the Second Amendment, no matter what state you were in.
You have the national Second Amendment. They're talking state. What states actually have a preemptive Second Amendment, or state preemption and stuff like that?
Oh, okay.
Like we in Washington, we have a very strong state preemption. Like we have a Second Amendment on the state level that no county, city, etc. can write a law stricter than our state law.
I know Georgia just passed a law with
like that, and that's a tougher one. I was doing a compilation of that, and it's a lot closer. It's more like 2030 or something. I think.
Have you done any research on this, like the Georgia law, where it's no federal agency can come and do gun confiscation in times of like the natural disasters,
research is
emergencies,
and that's
crazy.
In response to Katrina.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, but it just passed with the whole hunting with silencers, a whole bunch of positive stuff.
I guess we could do research
part of it.
Research is hard.
Maybe that's something we could add to the Every Second Matters if people wanted to help contribute to that, or maybe the Every Second Matters group over on Gun Channels would be a way to do it. But to put in some of the pro-gun stuff, because it's easy to get discouraged sometimes, especially when we listen to people from Maryland and Connecticut or wherever, the places that have bad laws, and we don't think about all the good stuff. So that's cool that we're talking about the negative stuff that happened in California, but we don't want to overlook the positive stuff like that happened in Georgia. It sounds like.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of make people from New Hampshire that are listening. I mean, we're facing some crap. Even we got this guy Scott Brown. He's a Republican, but he's no friend of the gun owner. And Jean Shaheen, who's also in office or power now, I mean, she voted for assault weapon ban. And as free as New Hampshire is, there's, it's not looking good this next election for what could possibly be the future. So I think people definitely need to get involved and write letters in New Hampshire to make sure that if Scott Brown does get elected, that he understands what the hell he's doing. and what kind of state we are. Because it's not. I've got a guy who owns a gun shop. He told me the other day he's not even going to vote because it's between Scott Brown and Gene Shaheen. And I'm like, well, we got to do something other than not vote.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know we're not going to get into the election stuff, but
It
that
never
is
makes sense
coming
to
up.
me when someone says, "Well, I'm just not going to vote because I disagree with both candidates on one topic." Well, then find the candidate that you agree with on the vast majority of the other topics.
Yeah. Problem is you know he's a small shop owner, so he's actually saying this to everyone that comes in. And, well, whatever. At least he's making people aware that that's what's good.
Wait, what's he saying to people when they come in?
Well, he's just telling them he's not even going to vote because we have a Democrat and a Republican in New Hampshire. A Republican Senate candidate, whatever. I mean, he's this guy Scott Brown. He's really not a friend of he's not a Second Amendment lover. And who's already in the Senate or whatever is Jean Shaheen, Democrat. She voted for the assault weapons ban. So in New Hampshire, we're very. So he's just said, oh well, I'm not going to vote for either one of them. So he's kind of, I was surprised that this guy Scott Brown got the pass on our little, whatever they call that thing, your electoral thing, whatever, last month. So whatever.
Well, I wanted to bring up that I don't know who all was watching Tech Daddy's show, but he talked about that ad for I think it was Every Hometown Matters or whatever, and it was that I forget what it said. It had like the kind of graphic with the big writing on it, and it said something like "bad gun laws kill women" or something. And
yeah,
how
it said
it was
bad
such
gun laws cause a cause. Yeah, female. Yeah, it was, and then it said what, 84 a month.
I forget the actual details of it, but the concept that it was basically pro-gun. I mean, again,
When I saw it, I thought what you
are they
did.
making fun of a pro-gun ad, or are they trying to parody a pro-gun ad? Because this is a pro-gun ad.
But no, it's supposed to be anti-gun. But when I first saw it, it said bad gun laws cause women their lives and something like that. And as you saw it, I think, yeah, bad gun laws. You're right. Any gun laws are bad. But the gist of it wasn't to be pro. It's supposed to be
I don't think all
anti.
gun laws are bad. I could think of some good gun laws, like if someone says something stupid, they have to give you their gun.
Yeah, well, it said bad gun laws.
One Georgia town put in the books that every dwelling had to have a firearm. Is that a bad law?
No, I know. Like, there's a town in Georgia that has that
Yes,
too.
I do. I actually do think it is a bad law because it's the government telling me what I have to do with one of my own rights and choices. So I do.
It's an unenforceable law, is what they call it, but they want to put in the books.
I understand where they're coming from, but no, we don't need laws to just be freaking somebody's point of view. I mean, if this is a free country, so if everybody decided, and it's when we agreed to go with, the rule of the whatever, the state or whatever. So if everybody got together and said there should be no guns, we would have no guns, and everybody would have to live with that, right? I'm the same way. I don't want to say one way or the other.
I think it just needs to be laws only need to be there for punishment when people do something wrong. It's like when I was talking about the guy who won't work as long as there's people in the assembly that have guns. I'm like, well, why? I was talking to one of the supporters of him on their website, and he's like, well, I'm like, well, why? Well, someone could harm him. Someone could shoot a legislator with no trouble. I'm like, well, they could do that even if that's illegal, and they can still do it even though it's illegal. I was like, so making it illegal to bring a gun in there doesn't stop someone from still doing that. And I'm like, and laws are supposed to punish you when you do something wrong, like shoot a legislature, not when you do something that's not wrong, like just exercise your right to have a firearm. But people can't seem to understand that. You don't need to make it.
It has to deal. It's like a lot of trust issues. Like they don't. I don't know. Like
it's already illegal to burn down a house. You don't have to make it illegal to buy matches to burn down a house.
Yeah, I can understand. I don't, the federal building thing, the state, law buildings, legislature and stuff. You don't want to. I can understand them making no gun-free zones there, but
I don't.
for certain, you don't. Like, what about for court? I could see because, like, in court, you got family issues. You got
different. Court is what's in court, criminals. What's not in
right.
well, I hate to say it, but yeah, probably in the state legislature it's criminals mostly too, but they're the ones that are working there, not the ones that are there because they've been forced to. So it's two different things. Court is criminals and law enforcement trying to control criminals. The state legislative building, that is our state government run for and by the people, and the people have the right to be there, and the people have the right to bear arms.
So the people who were elected to office, they're not allowed to even carry, say, like a .38 snubby in their briefcase or something. Like they're not allowed to carry. Or are they exempt?
The senators can carry a gun on the floor if they want to.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, they're
thinking about running.
It's not illegal in our state building to be armed. They can be concealed carry. They can carry their weapon right in the building.
Yeah, and it's like police officers can carry in court.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're that worried about your constituency, they're going to find you outside. You know what I'm saying? They can wait for you when you're leaving and going to your car.
I'm not going to shoot you in there anyway, where they find me right away. Good Lord.
Yeah, right? Jesus.
I'm going to kill you slowly with vicious insults and catty remarks.
We just got a gun-related link from the chat there about this NRA video that's basically for a political candidate. Will guns be a factor or an issue, a big issue in this election this year?
I think so.
Yeah, the midterm here in Wisconsin is.
I don't know if it will
What's
be.
the Democratic girl, the woman running for Senate in Virginia, where she's shooting in her ad, and her ad and telling Mitch, I think she's running against Mitch McConnell, and she's saying like, Mitch McConnell, this is how you hold a gun, and she's out there like shooting trap.
Mitch McConnell is a worthless SOB.
I don't know what is it, Kentucky or Virginia?
He's for Kentucky.
Yeah, so this Democrat is out there trying to show him how to shoot, and then even in the ad, she's like, this is how you hold a gun, and then she shows him holding a rifle at the NRA convention.
Yeah.
And he's holding it like a...
Mitch McConnell's a very stagnant person, doesn't do anything but promote the old stuff. Now he's got to change his ways. He saw Eric Cantor got his ass handed to him. So he's...
well, at least this woman who's running against him knows she better not run an anti-gun campaign. Like, she's out there shooting trap and skeet.
You would think that guns would become a bigger national issue this year because, it's always the three Gs. It's guns, God, and gays. Well, no one gives a shit about guns anymore, so you think gods and gays would, or gays anymore, so you think gods and guns would become more of an issue.
The Mitch McConnell, the last 6 years, I mean, I'm not a fan of him. I think hopefully somebody else in the party, the Republican Party, replace him. I'm obviously not running against him, but the past 6 years, all he's been is anti-Obama. He hasn't done anything with himself in the last 6 years.
Well, like the NRA is doing is they're not even getting involved in, like, they're just showing you who Bloomberg supports. Like, so just like whoever Bloomberg is supporting, they're going to point that out to you and show you how much money he's donating, and he's
Bloomberg has poison. Bloomberg has been, every time he backs a candidate, they fall in the polls. So
just like Palin. Just like Palin for the most part.
Yeah, we had a candidate here in Washington that refused Bloomberg support. They were like, "No, thank you. Please stay away from my campaign."
I'm glad Sarah Palin's not running anymore for vice president. That's a long time ago.
No, or suggesting she's running. I did talk to somebody, on Every Second Matters note. I did talk to the coworker today. I was telling her about that lady in Florida who got 20 years for firing that warning shot, and she was like, "What?" And I showed her the clip on CNN. And she's like, "I can't believe it," because she was being attacked by her husband, her abusive husband, and she shot a warning shot, and they chose to make an example out of her, and she ended up getting 20 years. And
I don't know. It's gray to me whether she was being attacked and went and got her gun to defend herself, or whether she got pissed and went out and got her gun and came back in and shot at an innocent man.
Okay, well, I just read the article to her, and she was like, "Really? That's really messed up." And I started explaining, the way some laws work out for criminals altogether. where I've heard of some people that rob people and then they get shot and killed, and then the family sues because that was the only member of their family that was generating income, so they're suing the victim, for loss of loss of wages or whatever, trying to get some money in off them. It's like, yeah, well, shit happens. I don't know.
Just asked if there's a map on Every Second Matters that has an open carry map.
I was just about to address that. Thanks. We never put one up because we don't want to just, cause more noise. That's already being done well by a few places. There's some apps that'll help you with that. So, no, we might post a list of resources, a resource page with links to places like that, though.
I know
we're not trying to rebuild a mousetrap, though.
Yeah, we have an open carry here in Washington because I made a video the other day about where someone in the checkout line, a little Russian boy named Sasha, saw my attire, said, "Hey, you like guns?" I was like, "Yeah." And he started talking to me. I'm saving up for my first gun. I turned 21 in 3 months, and I'm going to get a. And I thought he was going to say Glock, and I was like, "Oh yeah." Okay. But he said he op a rhino. So in my exuberance at the moment, I lifted my shirt to show him that I was carrying a Chiapa rhino. And a lot of people got on me like, "You just broke the law. You just flashed your weapon. You're brandishing. You just broke the law." And I'm like, I could fucking carry that gun strapped to my forehead if I want to in my state. We have open carry, so shut your ignorant mouths.
There goes Yankee promoting them.
So if more people carried openly with long guns, that wouldn't be an issue because everybody would be accustomed to them, right?
Exactly. It's just this overwhelming fear of a weapon in a holster.
Well, I mean, I carry you, and my wife tells me down, and I can see your gun. I'm like, oh, shit.
My grandfather always had a saying: "Is the guy that shows you his hand is the guy that isn't going to beat you." And it's kind of like
right. He's not really playing the game. He's just sitting at the table.
Exactly, and it's the guy that shows you his gun is not the guy that's going to shoot you in the back.
I always think it's cool to talk to my wife when I'm when we're out in dinner or whatever, and we're going about our errands, and I'm like,
that's nice of you to talk to your wife when you go out.
Exactly. I don't just slap her and I'm an NFL player and beat her and drag her down the elevator. But not only that, I'll ask her, like, hey, and I'll tell her, like, hey, can you see the gun? She said, "You have it on you?" You couldn't see it, could you? Okay, there you go. It's working.
Is that Spanglish? Because I didn't understand what he was saying.
No, it's Tex-Mex. Basically, I was saying that when we go out to dinner times or just movies or whatever, I know it's our local movie theater, Santiago's. I didn't see any signs last time I went to the movie theater that say you can't carry a gun. Like I heard a lot of movie theaters do.
I carry theaters around here, even if they have a sign, because it's not a crime.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. That's what I thought about when I was there going to see that movie, Tusk. And I was like, I don't see a sign, so what the fuck? And even if I did, I could still carry it.
In fact, we went to the $5 theater downtown not too long ago, and the guy taking the tickets went, "Oh, Yankee Marshall, I like your videos." And then I kind of got nervous because I turned my friend like, I wonder if he's going to rat me out to the manager that I'm carrying it here, but he didn't. So,
if that happened, I just politely say, "Okay, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know the policies here."
I'll just be like, "That's fine. Give me my money back. I'll go."
Yeah.
I can watch this crappy movie on Netflix in 2 months for nothing.
I just
Pirate Bay and get it right now.
I got a question in gun channels over on the side there. If you guys, we got a pretty good, big enough group to address it, I think. I'll just read it, I guess. Somebody saying, just a thought. I don't know if you want to be anonymous or not. That's why I'm saying somebody as opposed to your name. But just a thought. I think Every Second Matters chat would benefit from some more structure. Doesn't have to be strict, but I think some consistent sections every week could help, like what specifically we did this month and day, what we plan to do specifically, and then something about observations. I know it's supposed to be loose, and I think we've tried that in the past, and it's never really caught on. So what do you guys think? And do you think it would benefit from trying to include more of that?
Well, the only problem with that is the people who always want to say they want it are never the ones that want to do the work to do it. So.
Yeah, I think being structured, man, is always good if you can do it. But people just, between their, you're working 9 to 5 sometimes, and when you get off, it just doesn't click all the time. Unfortunately.
I'm not opposed to structure. I mean, structure is nice. I mean, it gives you something people understand what's coming and what they're going to do. But to be honest, I try to sit through some of the more structured gun chats, and I spend most of my time going, okay, I know what they're going to be doing for the next 20 minutes, so I'm going to go somewhere else and do something else.
Yeah, I feel the same way sometimes about some of the chats, some of the more popular chats I see. I'm like, I don't. For new people, I think that's really great information. But for the people that have been around for a while, you're not doing anything for me that I can see. But good job on their part.
Well, that's one thing we do we do very poorly in these chats, and that's a lot of us get jaded and get bored because we forget that. Yeah, and we get on someone like, "Why are you telling us this? We've gone over this before." But that, for probably 10% of our audience, it might be the first time they've ever seen one of these chats. So we got to remember the new people, and they want to hear.
There's 350 million people or so in this country. Of that, what we think somewhere around 30 million or ish are gun owners. Of that, some subset listens to podcasts or watches YouTube or whatever it happens to be.
Yep.
And of that subset, watching us live right now, I think is like 40. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible that we're getting the same people, but there's definitely a lot of, it sounds like to me like there's a lot of potential out there to talk to people who've never even thought about this before. And if we present it in a way that's appealing to listen to, I would assume that's going to be something they're going to seek out. If it's not, why would they seek it out?
Yeah, so you got to find that mix. You got to find some way for it to be interesting, but you got to find some way. You got to find some way for it to be structured and non-threatening for new people, but it's still got to be interesting for the old people in some way.
What do you think about starting off your chat with kind of like a briefing, like what you talked about last week, and where we are transitioning to this week? And as you open up your chat, that way they can I'll go to last week's chat because that topic is more interesting to me. But hopefully following the chat, it's present as well.
And I know a lot of us that have larger channels have a lot of information we could bring into the chat. It could be simple topics like today I just finished filming a video on a question I got earlier where someone that I had spoken to a year ago about buying their first ever gun, contacted me again today saying, I don't know if you remember me, but a year ago, and I didn't remember them, to be honest, but we spoke about a year ago, you suggested this gun, I actually ended up buying one, and now I carry it every day. And now my parents want to buy a gun. So, that's a good topic for discussion. That's something people can discuss. So if more of us that have goals that have more interaction with the community as a whole brought more topics into the chat instead of just sitting here shooting the bull, we probably could have structured chats. And not every chat needs to be structured.
Are we talking about Every Second Matters, or are we having therapy about the dynamic of live conversations about guns over the last few years?
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say real quick that I posted that thing about having it's just a structured suggestion in the gun channels. And the reason I said that was I completely agree with you, Yankee, when you're saying that like the structured chats, I kind of know what's going to happen. It's kind of predictable. But at the same time, I think Every Second Matters happening, it's only once a month, or I guess with every 15th or whatever. It's twice a month. I think that's a lot different than every week. And so it can be a little bit, it just has to be a little bit shorter or something where there can be some consistency towards the beginning, and then, I don't know, right after that it can just be general or, open as it normally is.
I can tell you I'm in them, and I wouldn't listen to almost any of them this year. I have not listened to them. I had no reason to go back and listen to them. There's nothing appealing about them. So I think we're probably just doing a disservice to the firearm community or the potential firearm community that's out there, because what we're offering them is a bunch of bickering and then
so you're talking about
inconsistency.
These general Every Second Day Matters chats is what you're talking about, or are you talking about just our general everyday?
Yeah, we're in an Every Second Matters chat. We're talking about Every Second Matters here.
Somebody you can get into it, Tony.
Well, why do you think that is? And why would you personally not listen to it?
Like you said, we just get into these little discussions, we go off topic, and it gets very comfortable, and that's fine, but I mean, discussions sitting on the couch or hanging out at the gun shop, those are perishable.
Right.
It seems to me like Every Second Matters should be something that has some life, because I envision, at least my goal is to create a resource that's available to people who might be coming into the, whatever their reasons are, create a resource for them as opposed to just an entertainment that they might want to listen to. So that's, the most of them this year have just been, it's what you get in out of them. Nobody's putting any effort into it, and that's what we're getting out of it is very little. Everybody, when I start the thing, everybody goes, well, I didn't do nothing today. Well, what the fuck? It's every second matters of the month, not every what you did today. So it turned in, we get into this, and again, I don't want to be therapy about all the other chats, but, we get into these ruts, and it turned into, what are we doing today? Well, we're not doing something today. It's about, the overall big picture. We talked a little bit about news a little bit this time. I can't even name something. Maybe I'm wrong, but name something that you can memorable, except for fights, from the other. This is the 10th one, so the other 9 Every Second Matters chats we've had this year.
Well, I'm kind of with you on that. We should get away from it was the second. You're right. We should just we can talk about it on the second, but we shouldn't have to think, oh, well, I didn't open carry today because it was the second. It shouldn't be that way.
I brought my topic. I brought the Senate carry.
Well, I mean,
and I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I'm just saying, seriously, what's the point? I mean, it's a disservice if this is just another garbage noise on the field. Mm-hmm. If it's something worthwhile and we're helping people, I'm all about it.
Yeah, people love the noise on the field chats. They like entertainment only, but this one doesn't have to be like the other 15 chats a week. It can be the one chat a week or a month that's different.
And it doesn't require all that much work yet. It requires some forethought. But, I mean, what is it? Like, to think about what you're going to do over the course of the next month, that's like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of thought over the course. Like, it's an entire month you got to think about it. So it doesn't...
So it's like I was suggesting earlier about possibly doing, like, maybe...
There's 7 of us here right now. There's 7 of us. I brought my one topic about, what we're doing at the state legislature. We could have discussed that probably for at least 5 minutes. So if we just stuck to that single topic, we could have discussed that for 5 minutes. So if every single person that came in, if 5 to 7 of us came in with a 5-minute discussion topic, there's 35, 40 minutes of discussion right off the bat.
Right.
Well, I think also by doing a video, let's saying, hey, we're going to do a video, we're going to do the Every Second Matters chat, in 4 days or 5 days, whatever it is, however many days you want to set it ahead. And just doing a announcement about it and saying like, hey, well, please think about some of your local topics.
I think
maybe can easily chime in here and tell you that the same thing I talked about with Facebook you can do with YouTube. So if anyone really wants to do that, and you have a YouTube channel also, Edge, we could sit down and put up a JPEG of Every Second Matters on the screen, and just say into our microphone, blah blah blah, Every Second Matters, and then post that same video, just rename it so that they don't, or maybe I guess you would have to. It's easier just make a bunch. But make 12 of them and post them up to YouTube on the 31st of each month.
Mm-hmm.
Might be nice to encourage new people to come on an Every Second Matters chat, so they've got a fresh perspective and have them discuss, a little bit about where they're from, what their state's like, and just because it's kind of us coming together, and then we're trying to, I don't know. It might be neat to have a good way to invite some new people on.
Do you think it'd be helpful? Do you think it'd be helpful to have some sort of place that people could go and post, discussion topics for that month?
Actually, that might be a good idea.
I'll add it to
vote on
the site, no problem.
Yeah,
like,
stuff. Well, we can.
Here's an idea.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, there's people who are on.
Nobody participates in the polls for one. Plus, we don't need it. It's not like we're going to get a flood of 1,000 things, so we can't go through.
Right.
I'll just, whoever can just mention the 12 things that came in that month or the 7 things, and then we just say no, pass because that's stupid, or yeah, let's hit this.
That'd be good.
Maybe just 5 minutes before you go live, you can review what you have, and then figure out which ones that we want to talk about, and see how much material each suggestion has before going live with it.
You have there's a Facebook page, right, Webs, for it.
Well, and I also think there's a lot of people will say, if we say everyone needs to come in with a topic, they'll be like, well, I can't come in, I don't have a topic. I guarantee you, everybody that lives in this country that believes in the Second Amendment, once a month, there has something that's affected you about the Second Amendment this week. Even if you just saw a story on the news about it in another state, there's something that either stuck in your craw or irritated you or made you happy that you could bring into the chat and talk for 2 or 3 minutes.
Good
Yeah,
point.
that's what burned me about that California thing when I was mentioning it, because it just burns me that stuff like that can just keep piling on top of it, you know. I'd like to,
Yeah, I mean,
you know, maybe I'm going to try to make an effort to, you know, maybe put a link on Facebook and have my friends that are on Facebook say, hey, go over to Every Second Matters and put a comment in there about something you think is, yeah, like you said, that's important to you or would be a good discussion.
I thought the old format of like, what did you do today? That's why most of the time, if I see a chat like this and say, oh well, you know, I forgot it was the second, and I didn't do anything today, and that's it. I'll watch the chat, and that's it. You know, and that was kind of the way it used to be. So you come up with this new thing where we just discuss things about the Second Amendment. That sounds way better than me.
Yeah.
It's be cool also like to imply that, you know, like if you know you get your 2 cents in, you know, you speak your piece, and if you don't have anything else to add, you just bow, let somebody else come back in, you know, and let somebody else come in with a new perspective as well, and talk to, you know, speak their piece, and so on and so on.
I'm going to kick you out right away, actually. I'm just...
I'm again, there you go. That might happen.
No, part of this new, one of the things that needs to be part of our chats is there does need to be one section that does need to be a lot more structured. That is, we need to, at the beginning of every chat, clearly state what this chat is about. You know, who's involved. These are the resources that you have available to you.
Well, luckily, I had 20 minutes of being here by myself at the beginning, so I had plenty of time to do that. And then there was about 10 minutes of dead air, and then everybody showed up. So I had about 10 minutes to describe everything from the beginning. Maybe offer the challenge out there. If you're a audio video type of person, you want to make one of those flashy, you know, whiz bang Hollywood trailers or whatever they're called.
That would be cool.
Or pre-rolls or whatever.
We can make videos for post them.
Or some stuff we can run on podcasts. And, you know, like Tack Daddy, he's got those plugs that he can, you know, run off of an audio player. We're all doing them. All of us could play those over our phones during our podcast or at the beginning or end of our podcast.
Also, I was wondering if it would be possible if you could kind of put in...
I have to agree with Yankee. That's not going to work.
Would it be possible to like kind of have a set time? I know the day changes, so that might interfere with other people's chats. But do you think it would be kind of like, oh, it's 7 o'clock?
It sucks because it's daily. It changes.
And yeah, and like today, Tack couldn't do it because of the way his show is set up, and then Stone Guy was willing to. So it'll just kind of depend.
Yeah, you're starting to make me feel smothered in this relationship. You start seeing other gun groups.
Spooning is not the answer.
Just hug it out.
Yeah. People on gun channels, like the other night, that guy, forgot his Dr. No or something, people in gun channels that are members don't even realize that they can jump in these chats. Like
well, that's what I'm saying.
They must see the link in the portion and be like, what's that? That's not for me, I guess. Yeah. I mean, just there's 400 members or something like that.
Oh, thanks. That's a good point. Yeah, we keep throwing the link in there because it's open. That's what it's for. You guys feel free to jump in.
And we don't.
So I think you might want to keep in mind is because of the way Google Plus works, if your account has your name on it, it will show whatever, I think your first name part of the, you know, settings on the screen. So just create another profile, you know, use whatever screen name you want or call sign or handle or whatever, and then just make sure you switch over, like you said, and then jump in with that one. And that's the only real concern. And if you have any questions along the way, ask us. We're more than happy. We've been doing this for freaking 3 or 4 years, so we can definitely help you jump in.
And anyone, yeah, I mean, what's people think they don't have anything to offer? Like I said, anyone that I know that cares about the Second Amendment in this country, that lives their everyday life, has something to offer the chat. I mean, look, Edge is in here for God fucking sakes. If Edge can be in here, anybody can be in here.
What do y'all think about? What do y'all think about those of y'all with?
I'm the voice of reason.
What do y'all think about people with YouTube channels going out and posting something, I don't know, 2 or 3 days in advance?
We're against that. We don't really want that because of copyright.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. Good. That's what we were just saying. You can schedule videos. So make a video with just your camera or your cell phone, point it at an Every Second Matters icon on the screen or the website or something, or a patch if you have one, or business card if you made some, and just say every second matters in 2 days, or on the second of the month, and then just post that video on like the 28th or 30th or the 1st or something.
Right, but then you can go one
schedule
step
quite a ways in the future.
You could go one step forward though, and see about like offering invitations to just new people who want to get in and have a discussion about it.
Why isn't every
There's
video?
definitely nothing preventing you from it, but it's not so organized that I don't know. We don't have a committee person for the discovery of new guests or something.
Yeah, they got to be part of gun channels.
However, nobody's prevented from doing it. So if you want to do it, I encourage you to do so. You're not going to get paid for it, and no one's going to even give a shit. Because trust me, you can do whatever, and nobody's going to really give a shit. But that's not what we're doing it for, right? None of us are up here with our faces up here. None of us are doing this for the glory, except for Edge, who has a cartoon of his face, and Yankee, who also has a cartoon of his face. But you know what I'm saying? We're all just doing this because we want to. So I don't want to stifle anybody who's ambitious about this. I'm willing to let it go as big as it can go. I'll give it as many resources as it deserves, and it's as long as it's on track, I'm there. I know the other guys are probably the same way, except for Edge. And so if you want to help out or schedule stuff or schedule guests, feel free. We'll all be there and help out.
Well, I'm not saying specifically scheduling guests, but I'm just saying that.
I'm pretty sure you signed up to schedule a guest, didn't I? Did I understand that?
I'm just saying that you can just open it up to people, like let people know is a general audience that they're welcome to join, that it's not some exclusive thing. Just because, I mean, there's gun channels and everyone around gun channels knows it, but, there could be all these other people that are part of gun channels just around.
Yeah. That's what I say. We got to encourage new people to come in. Like I say, some of the people that are in here all the time, there's nothing different between us and any other person out there that cares about the Second Amendment, owns a gun, or not doesn't even own a gun, just cares about the Second Amendment. So anyone can come in here. Occasionally there'll probably be a crazy asshole you have to kick out. We've had to do that before. We'll probably have to do it again. It's not a big deal, And we are being unfair to Edge. We have to remind everyone that Quark is just as worthless and adds just as little as Edge does. Just to be fair.
No.
Yay!
No, I'm correct.
So I've got a topic.
Someone just said they had a topic. Who said that?
All right. So I don't know how much you guys keep up with North Carolina gun laws. So we have the state fair coming up soon in Raleigh, and there's a bit of drama. So previously, our concealed carry permit laws basically stated that you couldn't carry anywhere that served alcohol or anywhere that required admission to join. So basically, you couldn't carry to a sports stadium, you couldn't carry to the fair, etc. Last year, a House bill was passed, 937, which allows you to carry into bars, carry anywhere that serves alcohol. You can carry into parks. You can carry into places that require admission. And recently, the Department of Agriculture has stated that they're going to actually put no gun signs up at the state fair. The governor has backed this, and there's a gun rights organization that's actually going to be suing, trying to get them to overturn this.
Well, what's the law regarding the signs in your state? Is your state a state where the signs bear the weight of law, or does the law have to support?
Laws here have the I forgot the correct terminology, but yeah, if there's a sign, you cannot carry. However, the carry law, the HB 937, states that it's illegal for them to actually post at the fair, right? It's a public property. It's a case where they're basically saying, like, they've acknowledged that the law allows this, but they're saying that they're erring on the side of caution with regards to allowing people to carry at the fair because it's a family atmosphere. You shouldn't have guns, but they don't point out the fact that you're basically, once you leave the fair, you're going to be walking in the dark for about 20 minutes to get to your car. It's not a case where you're not going to get a police escort to your car. And this is, Raleigh is not exactly.
There's a bunch of carnies there to protect you, though, right?
What state?
Yeah, exactly, right. Well, that's what everyone keeps saying. They keep saying, "Oh, well, who needs guns? There's cops. There's going to be metal detectors." And my thinking is, if someone wants to carry a gun into a state fair where it's not allowed by the Department of Agriculture, chances are they have no issues jumping over a fence and getting in that way rather than going through a metal detector. So it just.
And what was your state again?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay.
So it really just, I mean, and there's like at the news channel stations, like their websites, and on their Facebook pages, people are just having these slap fights more or less, where people are saying, if you carry a gun, you're too paranoid, you're too scared, and then you have the Second Amendment rights supporters saying, well, if you don't carry a gun, then you're not paranoid enough, you're not scared enough, and so I think the general consensus is that this is going to turn out pretty poorly for gun rights in the state because of the fact that if they allow it, so let's say that grassroots North Carolina actually is able to get this overturned and get concealed carry allowed at the state fair, the chances are next year they're gonna ban it, more or less. And so there's really it's a no-win situation for gun rights advocates, unfortunately.
Yeah, but make them ban it. You know what I mean? Or
yeah, I mean, no doubt.
Here's the law in your state regarding those carry signs. Well, for one, your no gun signs only carry the weight of law on, and it specifically states this, on private premises where the notice to carrying.
Right.
So it can't.
State fairgrounds are not private.
If you get arrested for carrying into a public premises that has the sign posted, your lawyer will eat the state alive. Two, it's also only a Class 1 misdemeanor if you do carry into that area. It's not a felony. You will be fined. And if you don't want to pay the fine, you can surrender your permit as an option, but otherwise it's a Class 1 misdemeanor with a fine. It doesn't state what the amount of the fine is in this section. You'd have to look it up in the subsection. But it's not a felony you're going to lose your gun rights for, so if it was me, I'd carry. Period.
Well, the issue, though, is that they're saying they're going to have metal detectors at every entrance, and
they're not going to have metal detectors at every entrance of a state fair. I can almost guarantee you that.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if you really wanted to avoid them, you could just jump the fence. I mean, it's not uncommon for people to do that, unfortunately. But it's I actually saw people. So this is a little bit off topic, but I saw people on the Facebook page, discussing this topic, stating that their Glocks do not set off the metal detector, which I thought was pretty entertaining. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a situation where they've stated, like if you go to an entrance where there is a metal detector and it does set it off, they're not going to try to fine you or give you a ticket or anything. They're just going to tell you to go take it to your car. But at the same time, like the
metal detector, are they going to search you to see what you have on you?
I have no clue.
Are they going to be performing illegal searches and seizures at the fairgrounds? Illegal searches, because they don't have a right to search you to enter a public property like a fairground.
They'll probably walk you through one of those doorway kind.
I mean, even if you set the alarm off, you don't have to submit to a search.
But they're going to probably rely on people's naivety or whatever it is, not being aware of that, and say, hey, what do you got? Empty your pockets, and they're just going to assume people are. They're not, I'll bet you the people doing it probably don't even know that that people are allowed to refuse it.
It's like we went to an event here not too long ago in the park at Portland where they had metal detectors. It was down by the Rose Garden, and they had metal detectors. I walked through it. I set it off. I had stuff in my carry packet. They didn't even when I walked through, they're like, "What do you got on you?" I was like, "Stuff," and they let me go. They didn't say a thing to me because I wasn't going to submit to a pat down.
Well, so not the Constitution, but I think a copy of the Bill of Rights was on tour. So it was on tour, and it was like they made copies or whatever at the beginning or whatever they were. So anyway, they were touring one of them, and they took it to the University Museum. So of course I wanted to go down and look at it, and I parked at a place, and then found out that they had the metal detector or whatever, and so I left it at the car or what. But once I got in there and looked, the metal detector was one of those doorway kind. It was just not even it was just unplugged. Yeah. So I suspect they just put that there to two things. One, to intimidate people that are three things. One, to screw with people like me who want to obey the law, but whatever I would carry normally, just to screw with me. They don't care about that. I'm an innocent, whatever they call it, and inconsequential damage. But then to screw with the gangbangers or whoever might think, it's not worth it. I'm not going to go in there, right? Or take off your gun or whatever they do, but potentially stop people just from being scared. And then two, just to calm the people who are oblivious in the middle, who just think, look, there's a metal detector. How comforting.
So on that, so I guess I don't mean to cut you off, but regarding that topic,
It was
a
rude,
lot
but
of
that's all right.
people who are commenting, like on Facebook, regarding this whole fair debate, are are freaking out, talking about how people who conceal carry are compensating for their small dicks and all this other stuff. And I really don't think they realize how many people in my state carry. Like, I mean, sure, it's not like Arizona or anything, but chances are, if you go to a grocery store, there's someone in that grocery store that is carrying. I mean, I carry every day. I spend most of my day on a college campus, so I can't carry there. But when I'm not on campus, I carry. And so I think these people just don't realize how popular it is, and they're now that it's being on the news like every night, they're kind of coming to the realization that people have guns even though they weren't aware of them. And I mean, I think that once the fair ends, this is all gonna die off and people will forget about it. But I don't know. I think it was just very bad timing for this to happen, where the Department of Agriculture was stating that they're going to post no gun signs, and immediately the gun rights organizations were saying, reacting immediately, which, I mean, it's what they should do. But I think the timing was just very inconvenient because, like I said, it's the main topic on the news right now.
I recommend you drink heavily.
Steven, what type of college campus are you on? Like a traditional, where like everyone's on campus and walking around?
Yeah, so I'm on a public college campus. So when this bill passed, the one I'm referring to that allows you to carry in places that require admission, places that serve alcohol, they also was part that allows, basically, if you have a concealed carry permit, you can keep your gun locked in your car on campus. Now, it has to be locked before you arrive on campus, but you can leave it there all day. And there was a lot of resistance to this. A lot of people were saying, "Oh my God, having guns on campus, people are going to, there's going to be gunfights and all kinds of nonsense." And I mean, I think that's been kind of a common trend when this bill passed. People were saying, there's going to be, it's like the Wild West, right? There's going to be gunfights at bars, there's going to be all this crazy stuff. But really, there's been nothing like that. I can think of a single instance where there's been any kind of drunken gunfight in a bar in the
and
last
then
year.
think of a place like Las Vegas where they've had you can carry and drink, right? Since the beginning of time, and that's a place where, number one, they got gambling and all the other vices, right? They have legalized prostitution outside of Clark County, right? They've got people coming in from all over the country, so people that don't have a lot of they're not at home. They have, they're carefree or whatever. There's all kinds of stuff. We all know about all the potential stuff that could happen in Vegas. Now, name any time you've ever heard of anything like that happening in Vegas.
Right, and you typically associate colleges with, like, I don't know, we always talk about why our college is so liberal and stuff like that, but I mean, over here we have similar law where you can keep unloaded firearms that are concealed in a car, and most people don't even know about it because nothing ever bad comes of it, like you're saying, G-Webs. And so, was the resistance in your state, Stephen, from like people on the college itself to the law, or was it from?
Yeah, it was actually the college police department were resisting it.
But was it like students there, faculty, or was it the police department?
The students. So I'll tell you, I'm in the South, right? I'm in North Carolina. Just today I saw someone on campus wearing the Browning Buckmark logo T-shirt. So it's not. I mean, gun owners are pretty. They're pretty common on campus. It tends to be more the staff, the professors, the police department. In fact, every day, so I park in the parking deck. I walk about halfway across campus, and every day I pass a window that has like a Glock silhouette with that red bar through it, like basically a no gun sign, which it's a college campus, right? So it's not. This isn't a case where it's like the building put it up. This is someone's like lab window has a no gun sign. That's how hardcore they are, I guess. So you really do see both sides of or I guess both extremes.
Right.
I'm part of, or at least I used to be part of the Linux users group in this area, and most of them were actually pretty pro-gun, despite being on a relatively young and on college campus. You can find, like I said, the whole gamut here.
Just to break in again here real quick, I've been reading more about your little law there in North Carolina. North Carolina sucks as far as gun ownership for such a southern state.
Yeah.
But like it looks like the closest thing you're going to be, the only thing you'd be facing if you carried into that county fair under Section C8 would be a misdemeanor. So any one of the good lawyers is going to be able to get out of a misdemeanor if they don't have a criminal record. So it almost seems like this is just aching for someone to challenge it and embarrass someone because plus C8 clearly states it has to be private property. So if the property of the state fair is held by the county or the city, that's not private property. That's public property. So unless that fairground is held by a private entity, which is almost never the case that fairgrounds are owned by private entities. Sometimes they have private management companies, but they're almost always they're almost always county lands.
Yeah, you know when that's not the case?
But
Renaissance fairs.
Renaissance fairs, yeah. Well,
so on that topic, the grassroots North Carolina organizations are pointing out the fact that this is illegal. In fact, the sponsor of the bill said there is no exception for agricultural fairs. Like any place that requires admission was fair game. Yeah. And so the people and it's not that the state's saying that there's no guns allowed at the state fair. It's the Department of Agriculture, and the Republican governor has backed them. And people, they've had press conferences where people stand up and say, "You realize this is illegal," and people are trying to have it overturned. And they'll say, "Talk to my lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. Talk to my lawyer." And so
eventually, someone will talk to their lawyers, and
yeah. I mean, they're like I said,
they have to admit they can't do this. Yeah.
They're trying to get it before a judge before the fair starts, which is on October 16th. And I think they're trying to basically cover their tracks by saying, we've said we don't want guns there. If you guys overturn it and something happens, then it's not our fault.
I don't see how they even have a leg to stand on because your statute clearly states it has to be private property.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, people have pointed out that what they're doing is quite illegal, and they don't care. They keep saying, well, it's for the public safety. And, personally...
Well, a lot of politicians have gotten this notion in their head that as long as they can say something is for the greater public safety, which a lot of courts have started trying to back them up on because, they want to have as much governmental power as possible, that they can just get away with whatever. But no, you have to show an actual concern for public safety, and you have to still follow the law. You can't violate the law for public safety. You can do things that are gray areas for public safety, but you can't just blatantly break your own law you just passed.
So you use the term gray area. So Troxler, which is the commissioner who's actually pushing all of this, has stated several times he feels that the House Bill 937 is a gray area, and the fact that it should not allow this, more or less. And every time someone kind of prods him on it and says, "What do you mean it's a gray area?" he says, "Talk to my lawyer." Yeah. Personally, I'm going to the fair to eat fried food. I don't really see myself riding any rides or anything where I would feel like, oh my god, my gun's gonna fly out of my holster or anything. But at the same time, I'm not concerned about being robbed at the fair. I'm concerned about being robbed going to and from the fair because.
Yeah, now that's
what about you're eating one of those things of fried butter and it drips out and all of your gun and now it's slippery and then that's when you start to get robbed or whatever. And
yeah, but that's actually lubrication, so it might help my glove.
Here's the thing, though. You just mentioned one topic, though. Also, if you're going to the fair to ride crazy-ass, spin you around, flip you upside-down rides, don't carry your gun.
Right. I completely agree with you.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. I've seen people do that shit. I've literally seen a .38 special revolver hit the top cage of one of those little, the rides you get in. It's like 8 little bullet-shaped buckets of metal mesh that people get in and they spin as you go. I've seen a .38 special revolver hit the top of one of those before where it fell out of some guy's pocket. So if you're getting on those rides, don't carry your gun. That's just not very smart. But if you're going there to eat crap and ride the merry-go-round, there's no problem with carrying your gun.
Right. And so there's also concerns that have been raised regarding this is kind of conspiracy level, but more or less false flags where people will plant guns to, if it gets allowed, people are thinking that the people who have, or I guess in power, will somehow have the ability to plant guns. Let's say you leave a high point in the bathroom, and then someone finds it, and they can say, "Oh, we allowed you to have concealed carry at the fair, and you left a high point in the bathroom. Therefore, we're going to ban it." And so people are concerned about that too. I think that's
that almost never pans out. For one, that kind of planning doesn't really work, and people that would plan it all know it's ineffective. So it just doesn't pan out much. That's more conspiracy theory than bullshit. They don't need to do that kind of stuff to push that kind of agenda with that kind of person. So,
but at the same time, I still feel like it's a no-win.
There's also the rule in politics, and it's the same rule in the military intelligence, that there's no such thing as a secret. There's only some things that people don't know for a couple of days. Because if someone knows something, someone will talk. And that's why you don't tell people things that they don't need to know, because someone will talk. If someone did a conspiracy like that and planned something like that, somebody would talk, it would blow up in their face, and it would be more trouble than it was worth. So that's why those kind of things just really don't happen that much.
Yeah, and so I guess going back to earlier, I still feel like this is a no-win situation, because if they allow carry, then they're probably going to somehow modify the current bill and the current law and restrict it, which
Well, that's different. If they modify their law, that's different. Then they've got a law that states that. But that's what they'd have to do. They have to change their law.
I guess what I'm saying is I feel like some people in the local community are concerned that by pushing this so hard, by trying to force them to follow their laws, they're going to realize, oh wait, we should have modified this law in the first place to restrict carry.
I don't subscribe to that mindset at all, because the kind of people that would want to make that change, they're going to make that change anyway. So
that's true. That is true. I mean, like I said, the person who actually sponsored this bill, came out and explicitly said that it doesn't exclude the fair. It doesn't exclude anything that requires admission. If it's public property, then it's fair game. I don't know. I think it's really people on both extremes are kind of being asses to each other, and I think it'll be interesting to see what happens.
And with that hour and a half of silence, I'm going to say that this is probably winding down. So, and again, we don't want to, well, this one's horrible again. It was 10 minutes of silence in the beginning, a bunch at the end. But thanks for coming in, you guys, and giving a little bit of rejuvenation there with some encouragement. So we'll take into consideration some of these. I don't think it's that unreasonable to try to say, we'll do them at the same time as all the other primetime chats. I guess it's 10 p.m. Eastern now, 7 p.m. Pacific, and
well, will we have the schedule back up on Gun Chat sometimes? Because I really miss being able to look over that little sidebar and tell me what chat's supposed to be when.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, that's side note, but yeah, we can add that again. But as far as the every second ones, to give it a little bit of consistency, and again, I want to encourage anybody who's listening to this. It's a balloon that we're all going to support, or maybe it's, I don't know what to call it. It's something that we all have to pitch in if it's going to exist. Challenging you, encouraging you to do so.
And the more new blood, the more interesting the topics and perspectives we wouldn't get. Because how many of us would have mentioned something about the state fair in North Carolina?
That's a great point. And this isn't backed by nothing. There's no money here. This is just, we're hanging out. This is a bunch of people that like guns, got kind of frustrated that actually we didn't do that frustration. We just did it out of it kind of organically grew out of just a bunch of conversations, and then hey, what can we do? I guess a little bit of frustration, but there's.
Well, we're obviously organized and legitimate. We have a logo.
Yeah, and then I don't know what to say. We're going to end it up. Well, don't take this as a sample set of a representation of how the thing works or how the whole thing is. It's just, like I say, a bunch of people chatting, so it'll be different all the time. But again, thanks, guys, for giving it a little bit of encouragement there towards the end, and it's always good. And we'll do this again in about a month. Well, in about a month exactly. So happy Glocktober, everyone. Oh, wait. Gee, since you already have a Glock prize pack coming, give one away for Every Second Matters this week to somebody for some reason.
I don't have a YouTube channel.
I don't care. You're just picking the person. You're like the little kid or the hot chick that comes up and grabs the name out of the bucket.
Okay.
Pick somebody right now. You're on the spot.
Now?
Do it. Yeah.
In this channel. In this.
Yeah, your criteria, your decision. Tell me who it is, and they win.
Tell me. Me.
Okay.
Anybody but me.
Doesn't have to be somebody here. Just
Oh, it doesn't have to be
anybody.
someone here? Okay. How about this?
I'm just picking you because you already have one on, coming out.
Any channel, any whatever, any person that's registered.
1 second.
Chat.
Besides nothing fancy.
I'm going to say put something in the gun channels right there. If this takes too long.
No problem. We'll give it a second. So, DP, why don't you become the president of Every Second Matters and run these things every month?
Okay, no problem. Until Marine comes back, I'll run these chats.
But you guys,
it looks like
the logo tattooed on your butt.
Yeah, that's me. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
I'll run in Every Second Matters, and I'll let you know.
Do you already have one coming or no?
Not as far as I know. I mean, I got the G patch, and that's about it.
All right, well, you cheated, but you also came in here and participated, so you got a prize pack coming. I'm doing them just kind of randomly, but, Glocktober is all about just having fun, and Glock was cool and gave us a bunch of stuff to give away, so I'm getting people like Yankee, Edge. Are you still in here? So, but hopefully Yankee will, if you guys want to try to give something away, let me know. It's going to be tough to give away 100 things, so I'm going to enlist some help with that. We're also getting some help from people to pay for shipping and stuff, so it's a pretty neat little thing that's kind of just happening. And again, nobody's making any money on this one. This is just something fun to do, and Glock was cool enough to kind of help feed the fire there. So we're just playing around with Glocktober, hashtag Glocktober on whatever social media you're looking at. So I guess I'm promoting something, but oh well. We had to get something away, so we did so. I guess, again, we'll end this up, and we'll see you in about a month.